There are choices that cannot be explained by reason. Moments when something within you moves before your mind can catch up. You don't think. You feel. You don't analyze. You are drawn. Why does one stone pull you more than another? Why does something so simple awaken a feeling you can't name? Carl Jung, the great explorer of the human unconscious, believed that symbols are not mere decorations. They are doors, portals into invisible regions of the psyche. What we call taste, instinct, or intuition is often the soul itself trying to speak, using the only language it knows: energy, vibration, resonance. Today, before you, 4 stones await: the sapphire, the emerald, the ruby, and the moonstone. They are not inert matter. They are living archetypes, ancient forces that still breathe within the collective unconscious of humanity. Each carries a story older than memory, an energy that mirrors the state of your inner world. What draws you toward one of them is not coincidence, it's recognition. A whisper from deep inside that says, "This is me." Because the stone you choose is not random. It's a reflection of what vibrates within you right now, even if you cannot explain why. This is not a game. It is an encounter, a silent conversation between your conscious mind and the part of you that lives in shadow, the part that feels rather than thinks. The deepest truths are rarely logical. They reveal themselves through sensation, through that slight tightening in your chest, that calm pulse in your hands, that spark behind your eyes. We live in a world that overvalues thought, where everything must be justified, explained, and proven. But there are truths that cannot be dissected. They must be felt. They live in the body, in the rhythm of the breath, in the quiet knowing that rises before words exist. That first impulse, the moment your heart leans toward something, is not a random reaction. It's the soul answering. So pause. Drop the weight of analysis. Relax your shoulders. Close your eyes if you need to. Take a slow breath in, as if you were drawing air all the way to the center of your being. Then exhale, and let the noise of the outer world fade, like waves receding into the distance. Now, open your eyes. Before you shine 4 stones, each one alive with its own frequency. Don't rush. Don't think about their names or meanings. Simply notice which one calls to you. Which one stirs a memory you can't place? Which one feels familiar, almost as if it had been waiting for you? That is the language of the unconscious. Subtle, emotional, symbolic. The choice you make now has little to do with the surface and everything to do with what within you seeks to be revealed. Choose with the soul, and let the stone choose you. There is a kind of impulse that doesn't come from logic. It comes from the soul. Jung called it the whisper of the deep self, that silent guidance rising from the shadows within us. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It moves softly, almost imperceptibly, like a current beneath still water. That's why we rarely recognize it right away. It's not a voice made of words. It's a pulse, a vibration, a quiet certainty that bypasses thought and lands directly in feeling. To understand this, you must first realize that the human being is not divided between body and mind. We are bridges of energy. The intellect interprets, but the heart perceives. Thinking is linear. Feeling is multidimensional. When you think, you analyze, compare, and separate. When you feel, you connect. That's why true symbols, like the 4 stones before you, don't speak to the mind. They speak to the heart, to the unconscious, to the invisible self that still remembers who you truly are. The choice you're about to make is not about aesthetics or preference. It's about resonance. Your soul recognizes something in one of these stones that your conscious mind has long forgotten. That first impulse, the subtle tug toward one more than the others, is the invisible response of your inner world to an outer reflection. So, let's slow down together. You don't need to rush or reason your way through this. Sit comfortably, drop your shoulders, let your jaw unclench. Take a deep breath, slow and steady, as if you were inhaling a quiet calm that fills every inch of your body. Then exhale gently, releasing everything you've been holding: expectations, judgments, distractions. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the silence behind your thoughts. There, in that pause, your intuition begins to awaken. Now open your eyes again. Before you are 4 stones: the sapphire, the emerald, the ruby, and the moonstone. Don't think, observe. Notice how your body reacts to each one. Which one gives you warmth? Which one makes your chest tighten? Which one feels like it has been waiting for you all along? That sensation is the soul's way of speaking. It doesn't explain, it reveals. It doesn't argue, it calls. Now, look at the stones: sapphire, emerald, ruby, moonstone. Which one vibrates with you? If the sapphire called to you, it was not because of its color alone. It was because something within you recognized its depth. The vast, silent blue that feels like an ocean holding 1,000 unspoken truths. The sapphire is not a gem of vanity. It is a mirror for those who have seen too much, felt too deeply, and learned to walk through darkness without losing their light. To choose this stone means you are a seeker of truth. You crave what is real, what cannot be faked or simplified. Beneath your calm surface lives an ocean of thought, memory, and intuition. You are drawn to mysteries, not for curiosity's sake, but because you need to understand what lies beyond appearances. You see through illusions. You sense what others avoid. And though this gift gives you clarity, it can also make you feel alone in a world that prefers the shallow to the sincere. Jung would call this the path of the shadow guardian, the one who dares to confront what others bury. You have faced your shadow, perhaps not by choice but by necessity. Somewhere in your story, life demanded honesty, raw, painful, cleansing honesty. You learned that healing doesn't come from ignoring the dark, but from walking straight into it. And because of that, you now carry wisdom that words can hardly contain. But the sapphire's message is not only about seeing the dark, it's about remembering the light. There is a danger in depth, to identify so fully with what hurts that you forget the brilliance that lives beside it. The sapphire asks you to balance introspection with illumination, to use what you have learned not to hide, but to guide. You were not meant to remain in the shadows, only to understand them. Your vision, your intuition, your ability to perceive the invisible, these are not burdens. They are torches meant to light the way for others still searching through their own night. Yes, solitude has shaped you. You've built quiet spaces within yourself to survive, to protect what is sacred. But solitude does not have to mean isolation. Your silence holds wisdom, and your presence brings calm to those who stand near you. You are not cold. You are clear. You are not distant. You are discerning. The sapphire's power is that of still waters that reflect both stars and storms. It carries the energy of the philosopher, the mystic, the soul who listens before speaking. If you chose this stone, it's because you are ready to stop identifying with your pain and begin to live through your clarity. You have seen the dark, and that is why you can now see. Because the sapphire is not only the wound, it is the eye that sees in darkness. And to see clearly in a world that refuses to look is an act of quiet revolution. If the emerald drew your attention, you are standing at a threshold, no longer where you once were, yet not quite where you're going. You may not have the words for it, but you can feel it. The old ways are shrinking, and the new ones haven't yet revealed their form. The emerald calls to those who live in the in-between, in that luminous uncertainty where the soul begins to shed its skin. This is the stone of the seeker, the one who cannot settle for borrowed truths or second-hand meanings. It hums with the energy of rebirth, of questions that demand to be asked, even when answers don't arrive. Choosing the emerald means you are awakening. You are beginning to notice what no longer fits, what no longer feeds you. You are learning to listen to the quiet voice inside that says, "There is more than this." Carl Jung called this moment the night of transformation, a sacred interval when the ego loosens its grip and something deeper begins to emerge. It is not an easy process. It can feel like being pulled apart, like losing the map that once kept you safe. The world around you may not understand your restlessness. They might call it confusion or instability. But within that chaos, a new design is forming. The emerald doesn't promise comfort. It promises growth. There will be moments when solitude feels heavy, when the uncertainty becomes almost unbearable. But remember, this stage is temporary. You are dissolving what was never truly you. The emerald whispers that every loss is a preparation for authenticity. Every time you let go of an expectation, you make space for your real self to take root. Your journey is not only for you. Those who dare to seek meaning inevitably light the way for others. Your silent transformation, the courage to question, to step into the unknown, becomes an invisible lantern for the ones still afraid to leave the familiar. Do not rush this passage. Don't demand clarity too soon. The seed cannot force itself into bloom before its time. Instead, breathe. Walk slowly. Trust the rhythm of what is unfolding within you. You are not lost. You are becoming. The emerald's energy is the pulse of the heart in motion, tender yet unbreakable. It reminds you that the path of transformation is not about replacing who you were, but revealing who you've always been beneath the layers. So if this stone chose you, know this. Your transition is sacred. The confusion is not punishment, it's initiation. The emptiness is not absence, it's invitation. Something new is being born inside you, something truer, freer, more alive. And though you may not understand it yet, your soul does. It has already begun. If the ruby called to you, it was not its beauty that drew you. It was its fire. That deep red glow carries the heartbeat of survival, the pulse of life that refuses to dim. To choose the ruby means that somewhere within you burns a flame that has never gone out, no matter how many storms you've endured. This stone belongs to those who have lived behind masks, not out of deceit, but out of necessity. You learned early that to be accepted, you had to adapt, to hide certain truths, to appear strong even when your heart trembled. You became resilient, dependable, unbreakable, and yet, behind that armor, a tender soul has been waiting to be seen. The ruby is that waiting made visible. This gem represents vitality, courage, and emotional rebirth. Jung might say it resonates with the archetype of the warrior of the heart, the one who transforms pain into power. You have carried your scars with grace, turning every wound into wisdom. But the ruby comes to remind you, survival is not the same as living. There comes a moment when the masks begin to suffocate, when pretending becomes heavier than the truth. You might feel that moment approaching now, a restless need to speak honestly, to show your real face, to let your fire out from behind the walls you built. The ruby invites you to step into that vulnerability, to remember that authenticity is not weakness. It is strength in its purest form. You are made of intensity. You feel deeply, love fiercely, and crave connection that is real. But the world has not always known how to hold that much passion. So you learn to dim yourself, to stay small enough not to overwhelm others. The ruby says, no more. You were not meant to shrink. You were meant to burn, not to destroy, but to illuminate. This is a call to action, to speak your truth even when your voice shakes, to create from your heart rather than your fear, to live as if your presence itself were a declaration of life. The ruby's fire does not consume, it awakens. It reminds you that passion is sacred energy, and when it flows freely, it heals both you and those who feel your warmth. So if this stone chose you, understand that you are standing at the edge of transformation. You are ready to move beyond survival and into expression, to stop playing roles and start living as your whole, unguarded self. The ruby's message is simple but fierce. Stop hiding your fire. Stop apologizing for your depth. The world does not need your masks. It needs your truth. You have endured long enough. Now it's time to live. If the Moonstone called to you, it means you are entering a new rhythm, one that no longer measures life by speed, noise, or urgency, but by presence. Its pale, shifting light carries the calm of cycles, the kind that the earth, the tides, and the moon have known for eternity. To choose this stone is to remember what modern life forgets, that everything blooms in its own time. The Moonstone belongs to those whose souls have grown tired of the superficial. You've danced with chaos, chased ambition, tried to meet expectations that were never yours, and somewhere along that path, you began to hear a quieter voice. It's the whisper of your essence saying, slow down, come home. This stone represents intuition, emotional maturity, and spiritual depth. It reflects Jung's archetype of the sage or the healer, the one who no longer seeks control but understanding. You've reached a place in your inner evolution where doing less feels truer than doing more. You no longer crave constant validation, you crave meaning. You no longer chase light, you become it. To those touched by the Moonstone, silence feels sacred. You notice the way light moves through leaves, how emotions shift like seasons, how endings carry the same beauty as beginnings. There's a wisdom in you that doesn't come from books. It comes from experience, from observing life without judgment. But this sensitivity is both gift and burden. You feel deeply, not only your own emotions, but those of others. You absorb energy, joy, sorrow, even when no one says a word. This can be exhausting, pushing you toward solitude, not out of rejection, but necessity. You need stillness to return to balance, to clear away the noise of the world, and remember your own rhythm. The Moonstone teaches that solitude is not loneliness. It is communion with the deeper self. It reminds you that every pause has purpose, that what seems like delay is often divine timing. You don't need to force what's meant to flow. You only need to stay awake and aligned. Your power lies in your presence. People feel peace around you, even when you say nothing. You carry an aura of calm that invites others to breathe again. You remind them, without words, that life doesn't have to be rushed to be meaningful. So if this stone chose you, understand this truth. You are not here to shout your existence, but to live it quietly, deeply, authentically. You are not here to conquer. You are here to heal. Let the world spin. Let others chase. You will move with the moon, slow, luminous, eternal. Because the Moonstone's message is simple. You are the calm in the storm. You are the witness in the noise. You are the stillness that heals the world. Now you have chosen. Or perhaps something has chosen you. Because in truth, it was never just about preference or beauty. What drew you was resonance. The stone that spoke to you did so because it mirrors a part of you that has been waiting to be acknowledged. Carl Jung believed that symbols are alive. They are not metaphors. They are bridges between the conscious and the unconscious, between who you think you are and who you truly are. When you feel a pull toward one image, one sound, one color, it's not random. It's the psyche recognizing itself. The soul doesn't speak in sentences. It speaks in symbols, in sensations, in small electric moments of recognition. Each of the 4 stones you encountered is a doorway to a specific energy within the human spirit. The sapphire, guardian of depth, calling those who see through darkness and turn pain into wisdom. The emerald, guide of transformation, walking beside those in the sacred uncertainty of becoming. The ruby, keeper of fire, reminding those who have hidden too long that truth burns brighter than fear. The moonstone, vessel of silence, teaching those who are weary of the world that stillness is strength. But here is the deeper revelation. You are not only one of them, you are all of them. Every soul contains these 4 forces, these living archetypes that rise and rest like seasons. You may feel most aligned with one today, yet another may awaken tomorrow. This is not contradiction. It is evolution. You are not fixed, not static, not a single note. You are a symphony of elements, the deep water of the sapphire, the growing earth of the emerald, the fierce fire of the ruby, and the luminous air of the moonstone. Together, they form the wholeness Jung called the self, the union of shadow and light, of instinct and awareness. The choice you made was not a label, it was a mirror. It revealed what part of you is asking to grow, to speak, to lead. The symbol doesn't define you, it invites you. It whispers, "Look here, there is more." So take a breath. Let the image of your chosen stone settle in your mind. Feel its weight, its color, its vibration. Let it speak, not to your logic, but to your life. Because this is not the end of the test. It is the beginning of remembrance. Maybe you thought you were the one choosing the stone, but in truth, it was the stone that chose you. Something ancient within it recognized something eternal within you. This was never just a psychological test. It was a small ritual of remembrance, a moment of silent alignment between your conscious self and the deeper intelligence that guides your soul. Carl Jung taught that symbols are not to be solved but lived. When a symbol resonates, it means your unconscious has sent a message, wrapped not in words, but in feeling. The stone you chose is that message, personal, intimate, and transformative. It's not predicting your future, it's revealing your present vibration, the truth that already moves through you. This is how the soul communicates, through attraction, through beauty, through the inexplicable. When you felt that subtle pull toward one color, one shape, one texture, it wasn't random. It was your inner compass responding to recognition. A mirror moment, when what is hidden inside meets something outside and says, "Yes, that's me." Take this as an invitation, not a conclusion. The sapphire may remind you to honor your depth, to use your insight to illuminate others. The emerald may be guiding you through a transition, teaching you to trust the uncertainty. The ruby may be awakening your fire, calling you to drop the mask and live in full color. And the moonstone may be urging you to slow down, to breathe, to listen for the wisdom that only silence can bring. Each of these energies lives within you. Each one awakens when the time is right. You are not just one archetype. You are the meeting point of them all. The thinker, the seeker, the warrior, the sage. The soul is not a straight line. It's a circle, always returning to itself, deeper and wiser each time. So as you leave this moment, carry the memory of the stone with you. Imagine its color glowing softly in your chest, a reminder of what your intuition already knows. Don't rush to explain it or categorize it. Instead, watch how life begins to echo the message. Pay attention to the symbols that cross your path. Dreams, conversations, even small coincidences. The unconscious keeps speaking, and once you've heard it, you'll start noticing it everywhere. Maybe in the coming days you'll feel a shift, subtle but real. A decision made with more courage, a conversation that feels clearer, a sense that you are walking closer to yourself. That is how meaning works, not through thunder, but through quiet revolutions. So pause, breathe, and honor this moment. You didn't just pick a stone, you listened to your soul. And that act alone, in a world that worships noise, is a rebellion. The awakening has already begun. Now that you've listened, don't rush to close this moment. Let the echo of your choice linger inside you, like the fading hum of a sacred bell. This wasn't entertainment. It was communion. What happened here was a conversation between your soul and something timeless. A reminder that meaning is always closer than we think. Take a few quiet minutes before returning to your day. Write down what you felt when you saw your stone. Not what you think it means, but what stirred within you. The emotion, the image, the whisper that rose before words. This reflection is how the message takes root, how the symbol becomes living experience. And then, if you feel moved to, share. Not out of vanity, but out of resonance. Because symbols awaken most powerfully when they are passed between souls. Maybe someone you know is searching for clarity, or still walking through their own shadows. Perhaps your story, the stone you chose, will help them recognize their own. So tell us in the comments, which stone chose you today? Was it the sapphire's depth, the emerald's transformation, the ruby's fire, or the moonstone's calm? Each answer matters. Each one adds to the quiet symphony of voices remembering who they are. And if this message touched something real within you, share this video. Let it travel. Let it ripple outward. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs more moments like this, where silence speaks and the soul listens. Because in the end, the stone you chose was never just a symbol. It was an invitation, an awakening, a mirror. So listen again, not with the mind, but with the life you live from this moment on.